Dear students and dear viewers, welcome back to this new session. I welcome all of you with the Islamic greetings. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May peace, mercy and blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be upon all of you. So far we have discussed or we have studied the verbs in the perspective of their lexical aspect. Now, today in this session we are going to deal with the verbs in the perspective of their traditional aspects. And today we are going to deal with infinitives. And before understanding, before reading or before knowing about infinitives, let me tell you something, or let me put into your minds something, some raw idea about infinitives. I have written two sentences on the board. I have written Abdullah wants an apple, and the second sentence, Abdullah wants to eat an apple. Okay, so before discussing, before going in the details of infinitives, let's first understand what is an infinitive. Here in the first sentence, if we have to recognize the main verb, that is wants. This is main verb. Also in the second sentence, the main verb, that is wants. Okay. Now in the first sentence, what is the subject of the verb, of this particular action, that is doer of the action, that is Abdullah, and it functions as a subject of the verb wants, and it is in present simple. Okay, now अगर मैं आपसे ये कहूँ अब कि इस verb का, इस fail का, इस action का object क्या है, ऐसा कौन सा object है जो इस एक्शन को रिसीव कर रहा है, जो इसका इफेक्ट ले रहा है, you may simply that is an apple. Okay, so this is a receiver of an action and it is generally known as an object of the verb. And here the subject of the verb is noun, and it is a proper noun. Okay, and again the object of the verb is also a noun. Okay, now technically, as we have discussed or we have already studied in detail about the nouns and their classifications their functions. We have discussed subjective case or nominative case, we have discussed objective case or accusative case, and we have discussed possessive case or genitive case. So, and from those lectures, from those understands, we have come to know that the subject of any verb can be a noun or a pronoun. Similarly, an object of any verb can be a noun or a pronoun. But in the second sentence here, Abdullah wants to eat an apple. Let's understand this. So we have Abdullah, we have wants, we have to eat an apple. Now, the main verb is wants, and the subject of this is Abdullah. Okay, but what is the object of this verb? That is to eat. And what is an apple? Apple is the object of this. Now, so you can say somehow this to eat. हम बाद में जानेंगे इसको कि ये to eat क्या है, लेकिन फर्स्ट हम ये समझेंगे कि यहाँ पर जो वर्ब का काम दिया है वो इस वर्ब का जो ऑब्जेक्ट है वो to eat है, और ऊपर हमने पढ़ा कि वर्ब का जो ऑब्जेक्ट होता है वो या तो नाउन होगा या प्रोनाउन होगा। इस हिसाब से, इस एतबार से हम कह सकते हैं कि जो ये टू ईट है, इट इज़ एन ऑब्जेक्ट ऑफ द वर्ब, हेंस इट फंक्शंस लाइक ए नाउन। ऊपर की तरह। And also, like a verb, it has its own object. तो ये to eat क्या है ये बाद में देखेंगे, लेकिन पहले हमें ये समझना ज़रूरी है कि ये जो to eat है, एक तरफ से at the one hand it functions like a noun because it functions as an object of the verb. At the other hand, it has also a feature of verb because it has its own object. So you can say this thing to eat, it has both features. It has a feature of a noun and it has a feature of a verb as well. Therefore, we call it a verb noun. And by verb noun, what we mean? In form to eat, because this structure, this word structure has been formed by to plus eat. We know in the word classes, this eat is verb and to is not here. It is not a preposition here, but it is a part of it. I cannot say that it is an essential part of it, but it is somewhat to some extent, it is a part of it, and it is an identification of it. So यहाँ पर आप कह सकते हैं जो word structure to eat है, it has both functions. It brings an object like a transitive verb, and it functions as an object of the main verb, like a noun. So therefore you call it verb noun. When you have a verb noun, when you have a base form of verb, like here we have eat. It is a base form of eat, ate, eaten. So base form, and often preceded by to. You can say to plus base form, to plus base form of verb forms a word structure which functions, which has both features of a noun and of a verb. You call that infinitive. तो आई होप कि आपको समझ आया होगा what is an infinitive. An infinitive is a base form of verb, often preceded by to, which functions in a sentence like a noun, sometimes as an object of the main verb, and also sometimes brings its own object like verb. So simply, by definition, you can say the infinitive is the base form of a verb, often or often preceded by to. So you can say an infinitive is a verb noun. Simply you can say an infinitive is a verb noun. Now, तो यहाँ पर मैंने कुछ sentences लिखे हैं, 5 sentences लिखे हैं that are being reflected on your board, or on your screens. I hope that these sentences are clear to read. So the first sentence, to learn is growing. Second sentence, birds love to fly. Third sentence, to respect elders is our moral obligation. Fourth, we must not refuse to obey the laws. Fifth, the wisest desire to seek knowledge keenly. Okay, so we have these 5 sentences. Now let's analyze them. Let's try to analyze them to understand what function the infinitive serves in the sentences. Okay, now let's go through the first sentences. First sentence, so to learn is growing. And my dear viewers and dear students, अगर मैं आपसे पूछूं कि इस पहले सेंटेंस में जो मेन वर्ब है वो क्या है, आप पहचानेंगे it is a stative verb because it is not followed by main verb. Therefore generally हम तो यही कहते हैं is, am, are, was, were, have been, being. These are auxiliary verbs, but और जिनको आप सिंपल टर्म्स में हेल्पिंग वर्ब्स कहते हैं, लेकिन हकीकत ये है if the same verbs are not followed by the main verbs, they function as the main verbs, and in those cases you can call that stative verbs. When they are used as stative verbs, these verbs express a state or they give us a situation, like here. So where to learn is growing. Now अगर इस सेंटेंस में is main verb इस्तेमाल हुआ है तो इस verb का सब्जेक्ट क्या है? That is to learn. तो to learn becomes its subject. Okay, and we know growing, let it be participle there. So as here in the first sentence हमने देखा to learn functions as a subject of the verb is like a noun or a pronoun functions as a subject of a verb. So hence in this case to learn functions by form, by structure. It has a verbal form, learn. We know learn is a verb, but it functions here like a noun. So in the first sentence it functions to learn, which is an infinitive. क्योंकि हमने ऑलरेडी ये पढ़ा कि infinitive basically to plus base form of verb, but it functions either a subject of the verb or like an object of the verb. Hence it has both features of noun and verb. We call it verbal noun or verb noun, and infinitive is a verb noun. Simply अगर आप अपनी आसानी के लिए ये याद रख सकते हैं, आप याद रख सकते हैं कि जो एक infinitive होता है ये एक verb noun होता है. Okay, तो यहाँ पर आपने देखा to learn like a noun or pronoun becomes a subject of the verb, लेकिन यहाँ पर वो काम एक infinitive ने दिया. दूसरे सेंटेंस को आप देखेंगे birds love to fly. यहाँ पर जो मेन वर्ब है we know that is second, and also this love it is a stative verb because it shows us some emotional state. Birds love to fly, and to fly becomes the object of the verb. जिस तरह पहले सेंटेंस में मैंने कहा था कि एक वर्ब का जो सब्जेक्ट हो या ऑब्जेक्ट हो वो एक नाउन या प्रोनाउन होता है, लेकिन यहाँ पर ऑब्जेक्ट जो वर्ब का है वो इन्फिनिटिव है. In this way it also functions like a noun, so infinitive here functions like a noun. Okay, let's move ahead. So we have to respect elders is our moral obligation. Here is the main verb. Sorry. Now to respect elders is our moral obligation, and here is main verb है. यहाँ पर हम देखते हैं is main verb है और इसका जो main subject है that is to respect. क्योंकि अक्सर जैसा मैंने आपको पहले भी कहा था, if you want to identify a subject in a sentence, you just put a simple question, what or who. The answer of what or who will be the subject of a sentence. For example, to respect elders is our moral obligation. If you want to identify a subject, then you can say, what is our moral obligation? The answer will be to respect elders. So, to respect, we know it is an infinitive. It is an infinitive, but it functions as a subject of the verb. Also, it brings its own object. Here, elders is the object of the infinitive to respect. So, here you can see it has both features. Feature of a noun and feature of a verb. Feature of noun, how? Because it functions as a subject of the verb. And how it contains or it consists or it has a feature of a verb, because it brings its own object. So therefore, an infinitive is called a verb noun. Okay, now the fourth. We must not refuse to obey the laws. We must not refuse. So the main verb, this is auxiliary, negative auxiliary, refuse is the main verb. And to obey becomes the object of the main verb. And also it has its own object, the laws. So to obey is the object of the main verb, hence it functions like a noun. Okay, the fifth is the wisest desire to seek knowledge keenly. Here you have another thing, the wisest desire to seek. Desire is the object of the main verb. But also it is modified by the adverbial, by the adverb keenly. So you can say infinitives have certain features of verbs and also sometimes adverbial qualifiers. So to seek also is an object of the verb, and hence it is function here in this sentence is like that of a noun. And also, as the verb is modified by, or the verb is qualified by the adverb, here also it is qualified by adverb keenly. Therefore, in nutshell, in short, we can say what is an infinitive? An infinitive is a verb noun. And जो एक infinitive होता है, ये एक sentence में noun की तरह it does have certain features of noun and certain features of verb as well. Therefore, we call it a verb noun. An infinitive is a verb noun. This is a simple introduction about infinitives and simple definition of infinitives. If you have any question regarding this, you can ask, you can drop your question, you can raise your doubt in the comment section. You are most welcome. Thanks for watching. Let's meet in another session. Thanks for watching. Stay blessed, stay safe. Thank you very much.